DEI plus CDL equals death. I want to touch on this subject because it's kind of close to my heart. Those of you who know me IRL know that I drive for a living in my day job. Tens of thousands of miles. There isn't a year that I haven't done less than 55,000 miles. So when I see the story about the truck driver in Florida doing a Florida left, we call them Florida lefts in this house. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people in Florida do illegal U-turns over medians and things like that. But when you start throwing in CDL drivers who don't speak a lick of English, don't understand the signs on the road, you are throwing unwarranted chance into an already tenuous situation, given the ability or lack thereof of most people to drive today. Truckers tell United States Department of Transportation to immediately suspend state's authority to issue non-domiciled CDLs. That story, this is from CDL Life. I've had them favorited for a while, but not a lot of trucking news makes the news unless it's something like this. So you have thousands of illegal immigrants, or legal immigrants in some cases, driving our roads in multi-tens of thousands of pound vehicles in deadly weapons who do not understand the basics of the road. You have states out here issuing commercial driver's license to people who have no business driving a Yugo on our roads, no less a Pete, or a Mac, or a Volvo, or anything like that. Nothing like that. So what's the remedy to this situation? Well, currently, the Department of Transportation is doing an audit throughout the states. Let's bring this up. I wasn't going to go through too many of the articles here. You guys know the problem. I don't have to bring up too many news articles in regards to this. The U.S. Department of Transportation continues its nationwide audit into state practices involving non-domiciled CDLs. We urge you to consider how these drivers are being recruited, compensated, and treated, as well as the safety records of the motor carriers utilizing these CDL holders. While we question the need for this program entirely, as trucking is currently experiencing an overcapacity that limits job opportunities for domestic drivers, we believe the audit will provide more clarity on steps that must be taken to ensure safety. OOIDA said. Who is OOIDA? OOIDA is the Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association of America. President Todd Spencer penned a letter to the U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy asking for an immediate suspension of states' authority to issue non-domiciled CDLs for interstate commerce. I completely agree with this and wholeheartedly support it. And I want to go a couple of steps farther. Somewhere in the issuance of these CDLs, there's a signature. There's a signature authorizing this. That signature of that person, the feds need to investigate that. The feds need to investigate the individuals issuing these licenses for these states and make it clear that consequences are coming. And if there are none in law currently, that the issuers of these to unqualified drivers will face consequences, then Congress needs to come up with a law, because this is governing interstate commerce, interstate transportation. This is not an individual state issue anymore. Congress needs to come up with a law that the person who signs off on these CDLs will face criminal prosecution if they knowingly allow someone who is unqualified to be behind the wheel of a commercial vehicle. They also need to be held responsible. The state bureaucracies need to be gone through with this audit and everything. I would also ask Congress to initiate a law that says any non-domiciled CDL driver in the United States must yearly take an English proficiency exam and pass it. If they do not pass it, their CDL is suspended. If they fail to pass it a second time, the CDL is taken away. You are talking about lives. Thousands and thousands of lives. This is also a problem here in the state of Minnesota. It's not just something that you're going to find out in California. In Minnesota, we have thousands of Somali truck drivers. Now, I'm not going to castigate blame or blanket an entire group, but you need to obviously make sure that all of these people are proficient in English. Are they? I doubt it. So I wouldn't be surprised if you had somewhere like the state of Minnesota or the state of Illinois or the state of New York, who, along with the state of California, are just more than happy to issue CDLs to anybody, especially those who would have qualified under DEI. And I know up in this state, up in Minnesota, it would be liberal white guilt. Oh, we can't just keep them down. They're trying to strive. They're trying to achieve. It doesn't matter that they don't know what that red sign that says stop means. That's what we're dealing with. The consequences need to roll downhill into the bureaucracy responsible for making it happen. Congress needs to initiate a law requiring non-domiciled CDL, yearly exams, English proficiency, and only if you're legal in the first friggin' place. Secondly, Congress needs to pass a law that if one of these CDL drivers has been issued a CDL, and upon an accident and further investigation, it's found does not meet those requirements of English proficiency or even basic CDL operation, the person who issued the CDL is to be held criminally responsible for the actions of the person who committed the actions. Why am I being so harsh? To put the consequences on the bureaucracy so they know if they just let this pass, it's their ass on the line too. You have to make it so the consequences are severe enough on those issuing this in the bureaucracy that they have an incentive to not allow it to happen in the first place. Because it's them who's giving these people the CDLs. They can go to class and they can have the recommendations and everything, but it's the states who issue these CDLs. There's a signature attached. That person needs to be held as responsible as the person who committed it, because you knowingly allowed them onto the roads with your fellow citizens when they are not qualified to be on that road in the vehicle they're in. This story really just kind of got under my skin, guys. Like I said, as somebody who drives as much as I do, to see something like failed English proficiency assessments was already illegal. Upon reentry, was granted a CDL. Essentially granted, of course, I'm sure he had to take a class. I don't know what it's required in California. It certainly doesn't lend me with any confidence. If you are a non-domiciled CDL, as far as I'm concerned, you have 60 days. And Congress should create a law that 60 days from the implementation of that law, you are required to go in for a English proficiency exam and a retest of your CDL. And you get to do it every single year. Every year. Well, why not every other truck driver? Because you're born in this country and you can speak and read English. This goes for Canadians too. I'm not excluding anybody. If you're not from the United States, you need to have a English proficiency test. You need to pass our CDL standards. And those who sign off on it, knowingly, they need to have their ass in the same sling as the driver who caused it. That's all I got. If you liked the video, I hope you hit like, subscribe, share with a friend. Let them know that we've got thousands of foreign drivers out on the roads, and so many of them can't speak English or even understand the signs they're looking at. And it's putting your life in danger.